Eyewitness News is everywhere. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5:30.
A fight leads to gunfire in a Connecticut city. Now 3 men are behind bars. Police in Middletown say the quick actions of eyewitnesses helped them arrest these suspects.
This happened in the troubled Ferry Street neighborhood. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Eric Parker has the big story at 5:30.
Police say it was only a few minutes from when they got the 911 call about shots fired to when they arrested 3 men who they found in a car on Route 9. Police say this alley was crowded last night when suddenly a fight broke out. An eyewitness says he was watching from a window above.
There was a crowd of people over there, and then they went boom, 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 boom. And I was like, that can't be for real, you know? And then the guy was on the ground.
Police credit the eyewitnesses and good timing with helping them to make quick arrests.
At the time, there were several patrol units as well as detective units in that neighborhood.
Police say the confrontation was not random, but they won't say what led to the shooting.
Now, exactly what that argument was over, we're still investigating that, but there was some type of argument between one of the suspects and the victim.
Police say the victim is being treated at Hartford Hospital. They say he is in stable condition. The 3 suspects remain in custody. In Middletown, Eric Parker, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Our other big story tonight is Hurricane Wilma. We're continuing to follow that storm's progress. Right now, it is still a powerful Category 5 storm, although as of 5 o'clock, the winds decreased slightly. Sustained winds now 160 miles an hour. At least 12 deaths are being blamed on the hurricane in the Caribbean. The storm is predicted to hit southwest Florida on Saturday. Now, if the rain and winds from Wilma eventually end up here in Connecticut, it could certainly have a devastating effect because of all the rain, 8 straight days of it that we experienced here. And 2 deaths are blamed on the flooding that resulted from those rains. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Besthoff now joins us live at the mobile newsroom to tell us more about one of those victims. Len?
Well, Bob Goulet was 75 years old, Al, but friends and family say you would never know it. The avid ski and also bungee jumper, along with being a skydiver and a semi-pro hockey player, he died over the weekend just trying to help someone else escape the flooding. Crews at a Stafford campground have begun covering up the ditch where Bob Goulet's truck became stuck over the weekend. The 75-year-old Goulet was trying to alert someone else in the campground about a dangerous overflow of water when it swept him up.
And that was his pleasure to help everybody. He was a guy that would get up in the middle of the night if they needed him. He would be there.
Goulet's wife Yvette spoke glowingly about her husband just hours before his wake. The two had a marriage spanning 55 years.
And I'm going to miss him. You don't know how much I love that guy.
Now, though, the flag at the Goulet home sits at half-staff. In the past 2 years, the family has mourned the loss of a son and daughter, and now this.
With a hero and an angel that walked among us and touched everyone.
Now, Yvette Goulet wants to thank the dozens of people who sent calls, cards, and condolences. We're live with the mobile newsroom. Len Besthoff, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
And residents in Wethersfield whose homes were damaged by flooding and that sewage backup are going to get some help now. Our Eyewitness News cameras were there on Monday when the homeowners were trying to clean up the smelly mess. Residents can now bring these items that they now have to discard to the town's transfer station. They'll be able to do it at no charge for the next 10 days. And in addition to that free drop-off, the town has also scheduled pickup for water-damaged items. That will happen on October 26th and 27th, next week.
In Taunton, Massachusetts, an old and splintered dam is holding, at least for now. The dam was damaged by last week's severe rain, and more rain is in the forecast, threatening to take it out. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Allison Harmelin is in Taunton now with the very latest.
Waiting for disaster, hoping against hope for clear weather in Taunton, Massachusetts, where a centuries-old dam is the last defense against one of nature's most destructive forces. The water pressure has continued to drop as crews allow water through another dam, but the forecast isn't cooperating.
The bad news, significant rain on Sunday into Monday.
The town of 50,000 is still under a state of emergency. For now, letting evacuees back home is out of the question.
This is a minute-by-minute situation right now.
Many remain at the local high school, where a gym has become a makeshift shelter.
I think they acted a little bit prematurely when they evacuated everyone, and I think they should allow us to go home as soon as possible.
For now, the dam is holding, but with more rain expected, there's no way to tell when it could give.
Emergency services here in Taunton say they'll stay put until this community is out of danger.
So even if this takes a while, which it looks now as if it might, we're going to stay the course with people.
Besides having to accommodate any additional rain, Taunton also has to worry about their neighbors upstream. Many of their dams are also full.
If they release their water, we're the recipients of all that water, so we have to take into account all of the volume that they're going to discharge upon us.
This morning, lawmakers toured the region and promised to push for federal funds. But for now, the National Guard remains on standby. Schools and businesses remain closed as residents pray the rain never comes. Local authorities and the National Guard are pumping water and sandbagging beneath the dam to try to ensure that it holds. But with rain threatening on Sunday, they're working against the clock. In Taunton, Massachusetts, I'm Allison Harmelin, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Rains are expected to come on Sunday. Meantime, the National Guard and dive teams remain on standby in the event that rescues become necessary.
50 bags of heroin are now off the streets in Norwich. Police say they seized these drugs from an apartment on Norman Road. Officers got a tip that illegal drug sales were going on there, and in addition to the heroin, police say they found small amounts of cocaine and marijuana. 2 men were arrested in that raid, 21-year-old Aaron Williams of Lisbon and 28-year-old Taj Green of Norwich.
Waterbury Mayor Michael Jarjura is shelling out some big bucks in the race to retain his seat. The mayor is spending over $100,000 on a television campaign. The 30-second commercial show Jarjura casting a write-in ballot for himself. It will air 100 times a day on Comcast Cable. Jarjura was defeated in the Democratic primary last month and is now running as a write-in candidate in the general election. Candidate for Governor Dan Malloy is getting some big-name Democrats on his side. The Stanford mayor has announced a big list of endorsements. Among them, former Democratic Party Chairman George Jepsen and former House Speaker Moira Lyons and Richard Balducci.
Dramatic audio tape from inside the cockpit of that JetBlue plane that we all watched making an emergency landing in L.A. last month.
Plus, cold season is upon us, why you need to be extra careful the next time your child starts to sniffle.
And all new at 6, boaters stranded on Long Island Sound, how a brave rescuer saved them.
You're watching Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5:30. Eyewitness News is everywhere. This is WFSB Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5:30. Eyewitness News is everywhere.
Cold and flu season are upon us, but sometimes a cold is more than just a cold. RSV, a respiratory syncytial virus, can lead to a lung infection. To a healthy adult, it feels like a really bad chest cold, but to a little baby, especially a preemie, it can be deadly.
And then he just really was not breathing well, and he couldn't drink his bottle. He became dehydrated.
RSV season starts next month, and you can protect your baby by washing your hands before holding the child and keeping your baby away from people who are sick. Certain premature babies can also be given a monthly shot that prevents the illness.
It is more dangerous, it turns out, to have your stomach stapled than doctors previously thought. New research shows patients who have stomach surgery to treat obesity are twice as likely to be hospitalized. I believe that means because of complications. The data comes as Medicare considers whether to cover the surgery. Experts predict more than 130,000 people are going to have their stomachs stapled this year. New research looks into the sex lives of American teenagers. A study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta shows that most 15 to 19-year-olds view oral sex as recreational, even doing this at parties with multiple partners. Psychologists are worrying that viewing oral sex casually will limit the teen's ability to form intimate relationships. Other experts say teens may engage in oral sex more casually because they consider that less risky than intercourse.
A fiery crash and a rescue caught on tape, how 2 police officers saved a man trapped in this wreckage.
First music, then video. The latest thing iPod users will be able to download, and it could be a big help for commuters. Hint, hint.
Plus, meteorologist Mark Dixon has your early warning 3 forecast.
You're watching Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5:30. Eyewitness News is everywhere.
Boy, people are still talking about this today. We first showed it to you last night, a dramatic rescue on tape as 2 police officers pulled a motorist from a burning car. And Channel 3 Eyewitness News anchor Dennis House is in the Satellite Center. We've got some more video and some more information on this. Go ahead, Dennis.
Al, this really is some of the most amazing video we've seen in a while. Shot by a freelance photographer. The stars of the story, though, are a pair of quick-thinking officers who just happened to be driving by the crash scene. Call it high drama on the highway. A multi-car crash on the Hollywood freeway. One of the drivers remains in his vehicle, pinned behind the wheel. And the danger is just beginning. Flames from an engine fire now licking his dashboard. The two officers, plus a pair of Good Samaritans, rush to the rescue. Breaking out the windows, they reach in and pull the man to safety, dragging him out the window and away from the car that has now become engulfed in flames. The heroic officers told their tale on this morning's early show.
The only thoughts going through my head at the time were that we only had a few seconds at most to get him out of the car, and we needed to get him out before the car exploded.
He just had a look on his face of that he wanted to be saved, obviously, and towards the end he was screaming, because I think, at least for me, the heat started getting hotter and hotter and hotter.
Now, the man saved from the accident, 22-year-old Alexis Reynoso, suffered a fractured pelvis, leg injuries, and smoke inhalation, but he is expected to make a full recovery. The exact cause of the accident remains under investigation. Live in the Satellite Center, I'm Dennis House, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
The FAA has released audio tapes of the conversation between air traffic controllers and the pilots of the JetBlue plane that landed with crippled landing gear last month. The New York-bound plane carrying 145 passengers took off from Burbank, California, September 21st. Minutes after takeoff, the pilots discovered the landing gear was not retracting, so the pilots flew by the control tower so the air traffic controllers could tell them what the landing gear looked like, and you see it there.
There's a possibility, I repeat, possibility only, that the nose gear may be cocked 90 degrees off center. So we need you to look and verify that the nose gear is indeed turned straight.
Well, those front wheels were turned sideways, as we can clearly see, not aligned down the runway. The pilot, though, eventually brought the plane down, back wheels first, slowly and very gently lowering the nose gear. The front wheels burst into flames. You'll start to see the flames in just a few seconds. There they are. That's the rubber burning up there. But the strut, the wheel strut, held that plane in place. No one was injured. An amazing landing.
Sure is remarkable, the skill of those pilots to pull that off. And imagine being a passenger. They watched that. They watched this whole drama played out on satellite TV from the little screens on the backs of the seats in front of them.
Can't even imagine it.
Well, I wonder if there's any other terror out there on the roads tonight. Rachel Luster in the Time Saver Traffic Center.
No drama here. We're very quiet, and in fact, we're just dealing with delays, and it's all because of sun glare heading out of Hartford and out of New Haven right now. The southbound side of I-95, the slowest just off the Q Bridge, mostly down by 46 and 45, and this is the only northbound delay that you'll find approaching the Q right around exit 48. Same thing through Hartford. Westbound 84 is the heaviest. Straight out of the tunnel down to exit 40. The eastbound side is improving just into the tunnel and across the Bulkley Bridge with an earlier crash there gone. 91 north and south heading right through Hartford. Looking good. It's southbound side down by exit 27 and 26 that we have a brief delay into Wethersfield. Rachel Luster with your Connecticut Lottery Time Saver Traffic Report. Tonight's Powerball jackpot is $340 million.
Accurate, dependable. Now, Eyewitness News early warning weather. Here's meteorologist Mark Dixon.
Well, the big story weather-wise today, of course, is Hurricane Wilma, now the most intense hurricane on record. Earlier today, it dropped to 884 millibars. That's one way we measure how strong and how powerful these storms are, and that is by looking at its minimum pressure. Just to give you a look at some historical hurricanes, let's go to the graphics right now, and we can show you what we've been dealing with as far as the history of these storms. There we go. Wilma now tops the list with 884 millibars as the lowest recorded pressure. But this year, not only Wilma, but also Rita and Katrina, that rounds out the top 6. So 3 storms this year in the top 10. And unfortunately, this one that we are dealing with right now, nowhere near winding down. In fact, it continues to maintain its Category 5 strength, although the winds now, earlier today, sustained at 175 miles or even greater. Now they've dropped down to around 160. And there you can see the eye-wobbling event in the Western Caribbean. The latest track from the National Hurricane Center takes this off to the west-northwest at around 7 miles an hour. The center of the storm is indicated by the center of the path here with the red line, and that takes it to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula, west of the tip of Cuba there, and this is by Friday afternoon. The forward progress has been slowed, so that is a significant change from the National Hurricane Centers. They've been looking at their models, and as we look at those models as well, they are all starting to diverge a bit. So that is something, unfortunately, that we are going to have to be dealing with. And as well, this is going to likely, as we go through the upcoming weekend, pass across the southern tip of Florida as a Category 3, if not Category 4 storm. Then by early next week, moving up in our direction. So we'll, of course, be monitoring the situation very closely. Here in Connecticut tonight, though, live early warning Doppler 3000, quiet from border to border. There were a few showers earlier. Those showers have moved out of the state. And right now, looking at mainly mid and high level cloudiness all across Connecticut, and temperatures right now in our live early warning 3 neighborhood. Weather net, we are in the lower to mid 60s, 65 currently in Hartford, and 62 for New Haven. Our satellite and radar picture back through the past 12 hours showing a line of showers moving in our direction. It's all in association with a cold front. And I am expecting mainly dry conditions as we see it unfold on early warning Futurecast 3. Tomorrow's weather today, starting at 7 o'clock this evening, just a few clouds out there, possibly a sprinkle or two. By early tomorrow morning, the front has cleared the state. Drier air is filtering in, high pressure building in as well. So looking at abundant sunshine for your Thursday, though. Tomorrow, temperatures a little bit cooler than today. Going to start the day in the lower to mid 40s. By the afternoon tomorrow, warm into the upper 50s and lower 60s. Now, we are, of course, tracking Wilma, but in addition to that, another storm system completely unrelated to Wilma that could bring us some heavy rain before Wilma arrives. We'll have all the details on that coming up on Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock.
New Orleans' most famous cafe is now open for business for the first time since Hurricane Katrina hit. Café du Monde has been serving their chicory-laced coffee and sugary beignets for more than 153 years. New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin was at Café du Monde to greet residents and offer some words of encouragement.
Look, all I can deal with is what I say. And what I'm saying to people is that we will rebuild. Read my lips. We will rebuild New Orleans East and the lower 9th Ward.
Cafe owner Jay Roman says supply problems will keep Jackson Square, that restaurant, from offering some of the great foods they once served. The city curfew will limit its hours of operations as well. Before the hurricane, you know, Café du Monde was so popular, it was open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
A firehouse shows off its renovations. That's one of the stories we have for you tonight as Channel 3 Eyewitness News goes everywhere, town by town. In Gales Ferry, the fire company is hosting an open house on Saturday to showcase their recently finished exterior renovations. The Route 12 facility will have free food and games along with firefighting demonstrations from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. In East Hartford, the Parks and Recreation Department will open their 8th annual Haunted Mansion tomorrow at the Veterans Memorial Clubhouse on 100 Sunset Ridge Drive. The mansion is open to children aged 10 and older. Last year, over 1,700 people entered the spooky Victorian home. In New London, the U.S. Coast Guard Academy held its annual Southeastern Connecticut Girls and Tech Expo from 8 a.m. to 1:30 today. The expo aims to help girls excel in areas of math and science. Coming up in our next half hour, Dennis takes you everywhere, town by town, with stories from New Haven, Mystic, and Hartford.
Some good news. Actor William Shatner returned to work today after lower back pain put him in the hospital. The Boston legal star and Emmy Award winner had completed filming yesterday and was taken from the set to a Los Angeles area hospital. Shatner, of course, is best known as Captain Kirk on the original Star Trek series. He's now 74 years old.
The American Society of Magazine Editors has released the top 40 magazine covers of the last 40 years, and they all have a common theme, lots of skin. Topping the list, the Rolling Stones cover featuring a naked John Lennon curled up around Yoko Ono. Vanity Fair's cover of a pregnant naked Demi Moore comes in at number 2. And number 3 is an image from Esquire of boxer Muhammad Ali with arrows in his body and without a shirt.
Other images in the news. How your iPod can now help you get where you want to go a lot quicker and easier.
And all new at 6, a jumbo jackpot. So many people are rushing out to buy Powerball tickets. The state has some recommendations on where to go to get yours. If you think your iPod is only good for music, think again. It may now help you find your way around.
Yeah, especially if you travel underground. Eyewitness News reporter Alexis Christophorus has a look at a new edition. It's free for your iPod, and it can help you navigate mass transit systems.
Trying to understand a subway map can be challenging, even for locals.
I have trouble telling where the stop is or which line is stopping.
Enter Bill Bright. a New York website designer with a passion for mass transit.
iPod Subway Maps is basically a website where you can go online and download subway maps for major cities and put them on your iPod.
When he's not working at his day job, Bright is creating more transit maps. With your thumb and the spin of the wheel, you can have access to subway maps for 22 major cities right in the palm of your hand, from New York to Tokyo, all for free.
People won't have to keep asking for maps. With an iPod, you just press a couple of buttons and that's it, you're there. I love it because it's easier to see it.
But not everyone's on board.
About a month into it, New York's MTA's lawyer contacted me, giving me a cease and desist for using the map. About a week later, San Francisco did.
They told Bright the maps were copyrighted material, so he created his own. But not every city objected.
Washington, D.C. actually contacted me and offered me a license for free.
Bright's next roadblock, Apple Computer, which told him to stop using the iPod name in his title.
So the site now is iSubwayMaps.com.
Just 3 months old, and his site is getting up to 10,000 hits a day, and many visitors want more.
I receive about 20 or 30 requests a day.
As Bill Bright tries to take some of the stress out of going underground for commuters around the world. I'm Alexis Besthoff for Channel 3 Eyewitness News.